Paris still looks like a dream. Luxury storefronts, perfect cafes, tourists everywhere. And if you only see that France, you might believe the country is doing fine. But here's the uncomfortable truth. France is not collapsing in a dramatic explosion. It's collapsing the dangerous way, slowly. A slow collapse is the kind people normalize. They adapt to it. They argue about it. They deny it. And then one day, the bill arrives. And suddenly, nobody knows how to pay it. Because outside the postcard France, there's another France. A France of stagnant wages, strained public services, rising anger, political paralysis. And a state that keeps spending like gravity doesn't exist. So today we're asking a brutal question. Is France becoming a third world economy in disguise, not in Paris, but everywhere else? And even more important, is France just the first major Western country to openly show what the future might look like for many others? France is one of the most influential nations on Earth. It has world-class culture, nuclear power, global companies, a permanent seat at the UN Security Council, and an identity built on strength. But step outside Paris, beyond the ring roads, and the mood changes. In many towns, the same phrases come up again and again. There's no work. The services are worse. The young people leave. Nothing changes. This split matters because a country can survive bad politics for a while. It can survive economic stagnation for a while. But it cannot survive a loss of trust, when ordinary people feel the system is no longer working for them. And the moment a nation becomes two different realities, a global city and a struggling periphery, the social contract begins to crack. Let's simplify the heart of the problem. France didn't wake up one morning and become poor. France built one of the most generous social models in modern history. Healthcare, pensions, public services, a full cradle-to-grave promise. And for decades, that promise felt sustainable. But there was a hidden trick. The system often spent more than it collected, and the gap was covered by borrowing. Debt itself is not evil. Debt can be smart if it funds productive investment that increases future growth. But when debt becomes a habit, when deficits become normal, then you stop borrowing to build the future, and you start borrowing to maintain the past. And that's where France is now. You can feel it in everyday life. Real wages struggle to keep up. Cost of living pressure rises. Public services feel stretched, and the political system looks allergic to hard decisions. Now we reach the trap underneath everything: demography. Modern welfare states run on a simple engine. Workers fund retirees. If you have many workers and fewer retirees, the engine runs smoothly. But if births fall, populations age, and fewer workers support more retirees, the engine starts to choke. France's birth rates have dropped sharply, and fertility is far below replacement. Now pause, because this is where the debate becomes emotional. People argue culture. People argue identity. People argue ideology. But demography is not ideology. It's arithmetic. When fewer young people enter the workforce, tax revenue grows slower, pension costs grow faster, healthcare costs rise, and governments face impossible trade-offs. If you try to maintain the old promises without reform, you borrow more. If you borrow more, interest payments rise. If interest payments rise, budgets get squeezed, and then the state begins to degrade, slowly, invisibly, but consistently. That's how advanced countries develop third-world symptoms without becoming third-world countries. Not because Paris becomes poor, but because the system outside the spotlight begins to break. The second trap is industrial decline. Manufacturing is more than an economic category. It's a national foundation. When a country loses factories, it doesn't just lose output. It loses ecosystems: suppliers, logistics, maintenance, services, apprenticeships, local businesses. And when a factory closes, the community doesn't transition smoothly. It bleeds. Homes lose value. Young people leave. Tax bases shrink. and dependence on welfare increases. France has experienced a painful version of this. Some of the highest value services concentrate in Paris, but industrial regions and provincial towns struggle to attract new engines of growth. And here's where I get opinionated. A nation that allows its production capacity to shrink becomes a nation that must import stability. It becomes dependent on other countries, other supply chains, other decisions. And in a world turning more competitive and more fragmented, dependence is weakness. Now the third trap, governance. France has a political culture of protest, sometimes admirable, sometimes destructive. The problem isn't that people resist. The problem is that the system often becomes incapable of coordinated reform. So what happens? Governments delay decisions. They avoid reforms that cause pain. They choose short-term survival over long-term health. And here's the dark logic. If every reform triggers political fire, leaders learn to do nothing. If leaders do nothing, the system deteriorates. If the system deteriorates, people radicalize. And radicalization makes reform even harder. It's a feedback loop, the kind that turns a slow decline into a permanent condition. Now add the euro dimension. In a normal country with its own currency, a government can inflate away part of the burden or use monetary tools more directly. Inside the euro area, you are tied to a shared monetary system. That means something becomes extremely important: market confidence. If investors believe you will stabilize debt and deficits, borrowing stays manageable. If they believe you won't, borrowing costs rise. And once borrowing costs rise, interest payments begin to eat the budget like a parasite. Then you reach a terrifying point. You are not funding schools and hospitals first. You are funding the past first, through interest. And that is how strong nations become weak, not through invasion, but through financial gravity. France is too big to ignore. If France struggles, Europe shakes. And if Europe shakes, the global economy notices. Now let me be very clear. When people say France is becoming third world, they don't mean Paris becomes a slum overnight. They mean something more subtle and more dangerous. They mean the experience of the state deteriorates. Slower services, broken infrastructure, persistent unemployment pockets, a sense that rules are not fair, and that your future is shrinking. That's not a third world identity. That's a pattern of institutional decay. And here's my strongest opinion. The West has been living on yesterday's reputation. Many Western systems were built when populations were younger, growth was stronger, and global competition was less brutal. But the world changed. Now we have aging societies, expensive promises, intense competition, and political systems where honesty is punished. Because it's easy to win elections by saying, nothing must change. But reality doesn't negotiate. Reality enforces. And that is the real story of France. A country with enormous talent and power, being dragged down by math, inertia, and political fear. So what's the solution? There are only a few real pathways out of this trap. 1. Reform the welfare state and pension system. 2. Increase labor participation and productivity. 3. Redesign taxation and incentives so investment returns. 4. Expand the workforce through migration, politically explosive in many countries. But the most modern solution is a productivity multiplier: automation, AI, and robotics. If you can increase productivity enough, fewer workers can sustain higher output. Machines don't retire, they don't get sick, they don't demand pensions. They can run longer hours and stabilize production. That's the hope. But here's the warning, and I want this in the video because our channel is not naive. Technology is not a miracle if governance is broken. Robotics requires capital. It requires stable regulation. It requires long-term planning. It requires the confidence that investments won't be destroyed by political chaos. So yes, AI and robotics can be a lifeline. But if France cannot reform and coordinate, technology arrives too late, too unevenly, and it only benefits the Paris side of the country. and then the split deepens. That's the nightmare scenario, a hyper-modern capital and a deteriorating nation. Now, why should anyone outside France care? Because France is not a random country. France is a mirror. It shows what happens when a welfare model becomes too expensive for its demographic reality. Production leaves, politics becomes fragmented, and leaders become allergic to pain. If France can't solve this, then the message is terrifying. Many Western societies are closer to this future than they think. And if France does solve it, if it reforms, stabilizes, invests, modernizes, then the message is powerful. A major nation can pull itself back from slow decline. Either way, France is a warning signal. Let's talk about the human side. When economic systems degrade, it's not just numbers. It's a dignity crisis. People stop believing that effort leads to stability. They stop believing that institutions protect them. They stop believing the future belongs to them. And when that belief dies, societies become combustible. Anger rises, trust collapses, conspiracy thinking spreads, and extreme politics becomes attractive. Not because people are evil, but because people are desperate to regain control. France has the talent and wealth to prevent that outcome, but prevention requires something rare in modern politics: courage. This is the choice point. Option 1, controlled reform. Hard choices, painful trade-offs, but planned and coordinated. Option 2, uncontrolled correction. Markets lose confidence, borrowing costs rise, budgets break, and austerity arrives by force. History shows that countries rarely choose option 1 early. They usually wait until option 2 is already knocking. And here's the most honest line in this entire documentary. If France continues delaying, then the correction will not be a debate. It will be an event. Paris will stay rich. Luxury will still sell. Tourists will still come. But a nation is not a postcard. A nation is its towns, its workers, its services, its future, its trust. And if France cannot rebuild that foundation, then it won't collapse like a movie. It will simply become less capable, less stable, less hopeful, year after year. That's what slow decline looks like. And that's why France matters. Now, I want your opinion, seriously. Is France a warning for the entire West? Or is this exactly the kind of crisis that forces a nation to reinvent itself? Comment below, warning or rebirth, and tell me why. If you want more documentaries with real opinions, where we connect economics, geopolitics, and technology into one clear story, subscribe. Because what happens next in France won't stay in France.